What are you gonna do? Beg me not to tell the secret? Or try something a little more preemptive?
It's possible I will be back in December, maybe November. I know Frank and the producers there know my reasons, and I am so grateful that they understand and are supportive.
In the glittering, high-stakes world of daytime television, drama is the currency of the realm. For decades, millions have invited soap opera stars into their homes, following their characters through love, betrayal, and life-threatening crises. But behind the flawless makeup and a perfectly delivered line, a chilling truth often remains hidden. The most terrifying stories are the ones that unfold when the cameras stop rolling. One of General Hospital's most beloved actresses, a woman who built a career on portraying on-screen turmoil, was secretly living through a real-life medical nightmare. A silent, creeping horror far more complex and dangerous than any writer could ever script. Her journey wasn't just about a single diagnosis. It was a cascade of devastating revelations that would force her to make a choice no one should ever have to face: her career or her life. Long before the world knew the true extent of her battle, Kirsten Storms had already faced down a terrifying medical ordeal. Years prior, she underwent a craniotomy, a daunting and invasive procedure where surgeons must temporarily remove a piece of the skull to access the delicate tissue of the brain. The surgery was to remove a troublesome cyst, and after a grueling recovery period filled with uncertainty and pain, she emerged victorious. To her and to the world, it seemed this harrowing chapter was officially closed. She had fought a private war and won. With immense courage, she returned to the relentless grind of daytime television, stepping back into the spotlight as if nothing had ever happened. Completely unaware that the victory she was celebrating was merely a temporary ceasefire in a much longer war. Years slipped by, and the memory of the surgery began to fade. But then something new and deeply unsettling began to surface. A series of perplexing and sinister symptoms started to plague Kirsten, phantom warnings that her body was not right. It was a quiet terror that began as a whisper, a strange sensation here, an unexplainable feeling there. Doctors were concerned, believing the issues could be brain-related, but answers were elusive. The uncertainty was a unique form of torture. Every day brought a fresh wave of anxiety, a desperate search for an explanation while an invisible enemy gathered its forces within her. This terrifying limbo of not knowing, of feeling your own body betray you, finally led her to undergo a fateful scan. A scan that would not just provide an answer, but would shatter the illusion of her recovery forever. The cold, sterile light of the MRI room gave way to a diagnosis that was nothing short of a bombshell. The scan revealed the horrifying truth. Doctors had found an aneurysm, a weak, bulging spot on an artery on the right side of her brain. It was a ticking time bomb, a silent threat that could rupture at any moment with catastrophic consequences. Faced with this life-altering news that would send most people into a spiral of despair, Kirsten's reaction was almost beyond belief. As she later confessed, instead of breaking down, her mind, in a state of profound shock, did something extraordinary. She launched into a stand-up comedy routine. It was a surreal, desperate act of self-preservation, using humor as a shield against a reality too terrifying to comprehend. She was laughing on the outside, but inside a silent, primal scream was echoing through the chambers of her heart. Just as she was beginning to grapple with the terrifying weight of her diagnosis, the doctors delivered another crushing blow. In a moment that felt like a cruel twist of fate, they informed her that they couldn't operate on the aneurysm immediately. She was being forced into a helpless waiting game, a period of agonizing limbo where every single day was a gamble. Life had to go on, lines had to be memorized, and scenes had to be shot, all while she lived with the secret knowledge of the potential for an internal detonation. The mental and emotional strain was immense. Every headache, every dizzy spell, every moment of fatigue was no longer just a normal part of life. It was a potential omen, a terrifying hint that the worst could be about to happen. After what felt like an eternity of holding her breath, the medical team finally devised a plan, a sliver of hope in a sea of fear. They would perform a minimally invasive coiling procedure, a modern medical marvel that carried with it an immense weight of expectation. The surgery is a masterpiece of precision, involving threading a tiny, delicate catheter from an artery in the leg and navigating it through the intricate highways of her own veins, all the way up into her brain. Once in position, the surgeons would deploy microscopic platinum coils to pack the aneurysm, blocking the flow of blood and, with any luck, neutralizing the threat. It was a high-stakes, delicate dance within the most unforgiving organ in the human body, a single thread of hope that her life now depended on. But the universe, it seemed, was not done with Kirsten Storms. Just as she was steeling herself for the upcoming procedure, her doctors, in a final review of her scans, found something else. The same image that had exposed the aneurysm had also revealed a second, shadowy companion to her primary diagnosis. Lurking on her brainstem was a new, albeit very small, cyst. It was a devastating 1-2 punch. The aneurysm was a clear and present danger, a known enemy. This cyst was something more insidious, a new variable in an already life-threatening equation. The realization was crushing. She wasn't just fighting a single battle. Her brain was under siege from 2 separate fronts. This second diagnosis became the final, deafening wake-up call. The discovery of the cyst, a terrifying postscript to the aneurysm news, made it horrifically clear that her body was in a state of profound crisis. This wasn't just a string of bad luck. It was an ultimatum. A voice deep inside her knew she could no longer continue living the way she had been. Her life, her entire existence, had to be rebuilt from the ground up. The relentless pace of her career, the constant pressure to perform, the very air of Hollywood, it all felt like a poison now. Her survival depended not just on a successful surgery, but on a complete and total life overhaul. With her health hanging by a thread, Kirsten made a drastic, stunning decision that sent shockwaves through her fanbase and the industry. She decided she had to flee Los Angeles. For reasons she described as deeply personal, private, and incredibly important to her well-being, getting out of the city that had defined her entire adult life became her single most important priority. It was a radical act of self-preservation. This wasn't just a move. It was an escape. She was turning her back on the epicenter of her career, the place where dreams are made, because she knew that for her, it had become a place where her life was at risk. To heal, she had to leave it all behind. In an age where celebrity lives are dissected by tabloids and fueled by anonymous gossip, Kirsten knew her sudden disappearance would ignite a firestorm of speculation. She chose to seize the narrative, to tell her own story in her own words. In a moment of raw, unvarnished vulnerability, she took to Instagram on October 13th and laid her soul bare. She shared the full, terrifying truth with the world: the aneurysm, the second cyst, the upcoming surgery, and her profound decision to leave Los Angeles. It was an act of incredible bravery, a defiant refusal to suffer in silence. She transformed her fear into a message of empowerment, creating a direct, human connection with the millions of fans who had only ever known her as a character on a screen. For the most devoted fans of General Hospital, Kirsten's sudden departure, while shocking, wasn't entirely without precedent. This health crisis was, in fact, the culmination of a larger, more troubling pattern of disappearances. Over the years, she had taken several abrupt breaks from the show. Her absence is often explained away with vague statements about her health. These earlier episodes were like tremors before the earthquake, subtle warnings of the seismic event to come. In hindsight, her long, private history of struggles became clear. She hadn't just been hit by a sudden illness. She was a veteran of a long-running secret war with her own health, a war she had fought for years behind a brave public smile. Her story became an unintentional exposé on the brutal, unspoken pressures of the daytime television industry. The life of a soap opera star is a relentless grind. Actors are often handed dozens of pages of dialogue to memorize overnight, then expected to deliver emotionally wrenching performances with minimal rehearsal, day after day, week after week. It is a factory of manufactured emotion, and the toll it takes on a person's physical and mental health is immense. This high-stress, high-stakes environment can push a body to its breaking point. For Kirsten, it's impossible not to wonder if this demanding lifestyle was the spark that ignited her underlying medical conditions. Through the darkest moments of this terrifying ordeal, Kirsten was never truly alone. She anchored herself to her inner circle, her most trusted loved ones, loyal friends, and fiercely supportive co-stars who became her lifeline in the storm. They were the ones who saw the fear behind the brave face, who answered the late-night calls, and who provided the unwavering emotional support she so desperately needed. In a world as superficial as Hollywood, she had found a genuine family. a network of people who reminded her of her own strength as she navigated the agonizing wait for surgery and the profound uncertainty of her future. Following a successful, coiling procedure that felt nothing short of miraculous, Kirsten embarked on the long, quiet road to recovery, far from the chaotic glare of the Hollywood lights. Her new life was a world away from the one she had known. It was centered not on scripts and camera cues, but on healing, physically, mentally, and spiritually. She focused on rebuilding her strength, learning to listen to her body, and embracing a slower, more intentional way of living. It was a journey of rediscovery, of finding out who she was when stripped of her public identity, and with each passing day, she moved further from the crisis that nearly cost her everything. Ultimately, Kirsten Storms' story is so much more than a shocking medical diagnosis. It is the untold saga of a series of hidden battles, a testament to a quiet resilience forged in the crucible of unimaginable fear. It's the story of a woman who was handed an impossible choice and had the courage to choose herself. She walked away from a lifetime of fame, from a career millions dream of, all to save her own life. Her journey stands as a powerful reminder of the hidden price of the spotlight and the profound strength it takes to step out of it, leaving the world to wonder what the future now holds for a star who gave up everything, only to gain back her entire world.